Everybody, welcome to Before Appointments Mastermind. Today we have Eric Simon. You may never have heard of him before. He also goes by the Broke Agent. He runs a couple other social media accounts that you also probably follow. Eric, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I mean, that was it right there. Yeah, I'm Eric Simon. I started the Broke Agent in 2015. I was licensed in 2014, but basically focused on building out the social media brand. And now it has become a media company, now BAM.com, where we have 4 blog posts per day, a bunch of podcasts and shows. We are trying to take over Inman News as the #1 media company in real estate. Lofty goals, but yeah, that's who I am, and I appreciate you guys having me. It's been fun to watch this mastermind grow and these meme accounts grow and the brand you've been building. It's been really awesome.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice, Eric.
So I think for format today, Eric's got a presentation for us, but as we go through, if anybody has any questions or wants to jump in, like feel free to throw your hand up or throw something in the chat and we'll make sure that we're picking up on everybody. And if you want, we can do a Q&A at the end as well.
Sweet. Yeah, I want to make this more conversational. So if I'm going too fast or anyone has any questions on anything, feel free to unmute and ask me what's going on.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
All righty. Can you guys see this?
Not yet.
Okay. Pull this up. 1 second. Can you see this?
Nope. Yep.
What about this? All right. Off to a horrific start here. Do you see my actual screen or do you see the presentation? What's going on?
Eric Simon has started screen sharing.
What about that?
Okay. There, we're in.
Hey.
Thank the Lord. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to talk to you guys about how I built Broke Agent brand to BAM, to the media company. And a lot of this kind of revolves around Instagram, but basically this is just the entire digital brand. So these are called the 10 pillars of digital branding. It started at 5 pillars, then it went to 7 pillars, then it went to 9 pillars. Now it's 10 pillars. By the end of this presentation, it might end up being 12 pillars because I keep adding these things as I'm doing it. So the first one is extremely cliche, but it is consistency. Kristen, I would argue that I am the most consistent poster in real estate history for the last 9-10 years. So in that small decade history. But I've been posting on the Broke Agent account every single day, 2 to 3 feed posts for 9 years, basically until recently. And this is a principle that we have definitely established on our BAM accounts, on our YouTube channel, on our Twitter, on our email, on our Facebook and everything. This is really the name of the game of building any sort of brand, is being as consistent as possible. A lot of people attend a mastermind like this, or they go to a Tom Ferry conference or a BAM event or something, and they get all super fired up and they only post for 2 or 3 months and then they kind of forget about it because they didn't get the returns that they wanted. But the only reason that the Broke Agent brand and the BAM brand has become anything is because of all the at-bats that I've given myself by posting so consistently. So it's been an email newsletter every day with BAM, 2 to 3 Instagram posts, 4 to 5 blog posts per day. We do our mastermind once every 2 weeks, and the podcast are always released at the same time on the same day each week. So how do you actually stay consistent? Bulk recording is really helpful. These are probably principles that you've all heard before, but filming something once a month, once every 2 months, setting a time block for that where you can schedule out your videos and then post them throughout the week. So when you're busy at inspections and open houses and everything, you actually have time to do actual real estate stuff. You're not so worried about the content. And then setting that time block for a weekly podcast. So you do this mastermind the same time every week, Kristen, or is it every 2 weeks?
Yeah, every week. I think we're going to drop it down to a little less often as we get through spring and then pick it up again in the summer.
Yeah. So yeah, with our podcast, we always have the same time in our calendar. Byron does the hot sheet the same time every single day. The Real Word is scheduled for that same filming time every single day. And having that embedded in your calendar, as simple as a concept as that is, it's just really important for making sure your content gets across. And, you know, we do this for the Walkthrough podcast too. But my host, Dan O'Neill, switches it all the time. So that's the only one that's like the major problem with this. But another thing that you do is you kind of want to write yourself a social media prescription. So I did this at the beginning of 2020. where I said 2 to 3 posts per day on the Broke Agent Instagram, 5 to 8 Instagram stories. I'm going to send an email once a week, and I'm going to do a blog post once a month. This is kind of before the BAM account, but just actually writing it out and putting it in my notes section. I didn't have like a PDF or a lamination or anything on a whiteboard or anything like that. It was just a very simple thing that I followed, and it really helped my growth exponentially, is writing that down. So that's consistency. That is pillar number one, and probably the most important one, probably the most cliche. Probably don't even need to hear me say that, but I think it's important to just hammer home. Number two is variety. So people like to consume content differently. You'll notice on the Broke Agent page that it is not just a reel every single time. It's not just a meme every single time. It's green screens, it's reactions, it's screenshots of tweets, it's carousel posts. And that's because the Instagram algorithm likes to feed people different content, and because people like to consume content differently than everybody else. So this is a really interesting stat here in 2023. I don't know if it applies necessarily now, but I have been seeing a shift where feed posts are starting to get way more engagement than actual Reels posts. So Reels views were actually down 76% in 2023, and carousel engagement was the only sort of post that was actually up in 2023. And this is because there's such an oversaturation on Instagram now. So it's really important to switch up your content and switch up your posting style. So we do this on the BAM account also, where it's screenshots of tweets, it's green screens, it's articles, it's headlines, it's breaking news. Because if we were just posting podcast clips nonstop, people would start tuning out our content. So you have to shift up the topic styles and the variety of content that you're doing. So for real estate, this applies where it's your local content versus your global content. That's a different variety. Your local is obviously to your market, but if you want to reach agents outside of your market, you have to do kind of global macro level economic content. You have your agent to agent content, your agent to client content, and then of course your non-real estate content, which is your personality, family, and hobbies. I put up Taya's account here because she does such a great job at this, where she covers national headlines. She shows all of her hobbies. You know that she has kids, you know that she likes rollerblading, just your usual personality pieces. And then of course her proof of business content. Another thing is variety on apps. So I've been really big on this too, is I like to use all of these apps like instruments. Basically on YouTube, I do community posts, we do shorts, we do long form, we do short form. We do everything to test as much as possible what the algorithm is going to feed the platform that specific day. So on Instagram, you're going to want to do stories, you want to do lives, you want to do feed posts, you're going to want to be DMing people. It's people that use all of these app features that do really well on the app. Is this all making sense? Super simple concept so far, I think. So number three is evolution. I have a huge X through Inman News, because when we saw Inman News posting, and by the way, they obviously have incredible content. They're the number one media company right now in real estate. They throw great events. So I like to throw shade at them, but a lot of it's in jest. But we noticed a huge gap, because what Inman News wasn't doing is they were not evolving with their social media content. We saw that they weren't posting content the way people like to consume content today. They are just posting headlines or quotes. It's all feed posts. There's no videos, there's no podcast clips, there's no green screens, there's nothing like that. And that really gave us the opportunity to fill that gap and be the media company that is constantly evolving with these platforms and with these times. If we see that people are posting more short form and it's 30 seconds or less, we're going to switch to that. If we see that it's more long form content, which I feel like is kind of the shift that's happening right now, we're going to switch to that. So always being able to adapt and make sure that your content is following these trends and following the way people like to consume content is what's going to separate your brand from the other brand. So you got to do this on the apps too. So the Broke Agent, it was all just screenshots of tweets. I think my logo was like a dilapidated house, and then it was memes, and then it was videos, and then it was carousels, and then it was reels, and now it's collab posts, and it's broadcast channels, and it's notes. So anytime a new feature pops up on one of these platforms, you do want to explore it, because obviously Instagram is going to push that sort of content because that's the newest type of feature. So anyone using that, they're going to help push that content in the algorithm. But also there's a reason they're doing this, right? There's a reason that they're giving you an option to a broadcast channel. It's because DMs are the most powerful form of communication on these apps. and a broadcast channel is a direct message to your audience. Is everyone here familiar with broadcast channels?
I think
Yes.
most of us are probably in
Yeah.
Europe.
Okay. Yeah. So even on broadcast channels, like I'm doing variety, I'm doing a lot of audio. I haven't sent any videos yet, but if you were to do like a hyper local broadcast channel, I would send personalized videos to your audience because everybody's reading DMs, send audios, send your blog posts, send your YouTube videos, like give people different options in the broadcast channel and see how people react to it. And then be consistent with whatever they're reacting to the most in your broadcast channel.
Do we need to rap? I think you rapped the other day.
Yeah, I do recommend singing or rapping or showing some sort of your personality in it. But that's what, like in my broadcast channel, I don't like to sell nonstop and be like, oh, here's another discount to BMX. Here's another event. Like I like to provide a little value. It's all about throwing the hooks before you're throwing the jab. Or the exact opposite. It's all about throwing the jabs and still you're throwing the hooks. But I think for agents, you're not selling much, right? Like obviously you can promote your listings in there, but doing like a personalized video about what you're seeing in the market that week, or just an audio message to your clients, I think would be really well received. So evolution's also.
Oh, sorry. Is there anything else other than broadcast channels that you'd say is worth sort of tapping into right now?
Instagram. I mean, the notes feature isn't really that effective. They just launched like Meta AI that I just saw. Are you guys seeing that now in your DMs?
I've seen it.
I have no
Yeah.
idea what that's going to be yet. I feel like they released
really
that when I was in.
annoying.
Is it annoying? Yeah. So I haven't even touched upon that yet, but I think every agent should have a broadcast channel that's called like, Kansas City market updates or something like that, where they could push content directly to their audience. Because again, the Instagram algorithm only feeds, less than 10% of your content to your audience. So if you could send it directly into a broadcast channel, I think it's going to be really effective. Obviously, collab posts, this is nothing new, but collabing with as many accounts as possible. Local market accounts, not local market accounts, but local business accounts. So if you're doing a review on a restaurant or a coffee shop or something, collabing with that account and tapping into that audience. I think a lot of agents are already doing that, but that's a really effective way to grow your audience and just reach people outside of kind of the real estate space. And also these local businesses just get so pumped to actually have an agent come and market their content. Like Alyssa Kernut, who we have on the walkthrough, she's always doing really good review videos of restaurants or new businesses, establishments that open up, and they're super stoked to have her because it's like free marketing for them. And you're tapping into that agent audience and it's basically creating a commercial for them. So I would do as many collab posts as possible. And then also, apparently now it's Instagram Reels that are 30 seconds or longer that are being pushed in the algorithm. I got a notification on my phone because I posted something that was shorter than that. So this is a shift that we're seeing, I think, across all social media platforms, is that longer form content is being more well received. And we're kind of shying away from that TikTokification, quick 10 seconds, hook you in. How do I capture people's attention immediately and get them to watch on loop? I think it's going to be way more high quality content and content that lasts a little bit longer, which is actually great news for real estate agents because it's that longer form content that builds that trust and actually converts.
And we
Any
love
new
talking.
features? That's right, exactly. We love talking. And also for YouTube channels, it's the best thing possible, right? If you could do a 4 or 5 minute video, people are going to be so much likely to buy from you or list with you because they're hearing you on long form as opposed to a quick 20-second reel where you're pointing at something. So another thing with evolution is making sure that you're posting the sort of content the way it wants to be consumed that day. I know I've said that a bunch, but Tom Tolley's a good friend of mine, but for some reason he still posts these weird horizontal videos of him like meandering around outside of his office. And they're these like 4 or 5 minute videos that are horizontal. That's just not how content is consumed on these apps, right? Like on Instagram, you don't want to watch a 4 or 5 minute long listing video. You want to watch a page steckling video or a listing video that does have a hook that is 60 seconds to 90 seconds that is made for that app. Because when you see something that's horizontal on your Instagram feed, you're more likely to scroll past it because that's just not the way you want to consume content on that app. You want it to be full vertical.
And it's small, and we're all getting old and hard to see small things.
Exactly. But Derek Gregory did put out a great Zillow parody that was a horizontal video that absolutely crushed. So maybe I'm completely wrong on that. But I feel like everybody still wants to consume that vertical content. Community engagement. This is something that I was obsessed with early on building the Broke Agent brand. And that is actually the social side of social. I've definitely shied away from this a little bit now, just as the audience has grown and we're producing so much content, it's a lot more difficult to respond to people. But take 30 minutes. You could be sitting on the toilet, you could be sitting at an inspection, whatever, and spend 10 minutes responding to people in your comments. Spend 10 minutes liking posts and spend 10 minutes DMing with people. Go on people's Instagram stories, message them. Because again, Instagram communication, the DM communication is by far the most powerful thing in the app. If you DM with someone, their content is going to pop up first and your content is going to pop up first. So you could grow your audience substantially with community engagement, especially now that Instagram has gamified the comment section where you could post a funny comment the second someone posts and then get a bunch of likes or get that comment pinned. That's a great way to get discovered by other people's accounts. And I still think people are too focused on just how do I publish as much content as possible? And they've kind of forgotten about the social aspect of it, because social media is still reciprocal. When I see Kristen liking my photo, I'm more likely to like her content still, right? If I notice that she hasn't liked anything in a couple of weeks, I'll probably block her or tell her to screw off, basically, because I'll see that she's not engaging with my content anymore. So it's really important to just keep that communication going. And of course, because it juices the algorithm. So spend 30 minutes a day doing your social media engagement, your community engagement, and outreach. All right, number 5 is my absolute favorite. It's trendjacking. I do it all the time, probably too much. And it is the best way to grow your accounts. This is a marketing strategy where brands create content based on popular topics, sounds, and hashtags. You've probably seen me do this for every meaningless holiday in existence. Today's Earth Day. I'll probably have some Earth Day posts. We had 420. Unfortunately, I was under the influence that day and actually couldn't even post anything. I was in Cabo. So basically, using these holidays, using something that's trending in pop culture, that's what gives your content rocket fuel. Obviously, you guys aren't running meme accounts. Well, some of you are, but you're not going to necessarily watch something on the Super Bowl and then post a Taylor Swift meme right away. But there's a lot of ways where agents can actually trendjack, and that's with green screens for news stories. That's a trendjack in itself. If there's something obviously going on with the NAR settlement, or there's an interesting marketing stat that came out in your local market, green screening these articles right away is a great way to talk about something that's topical and trending. You could trendjack the calendar. I do this every single month where I write a blog about the post ideas for the upcoming month, release on the 1st of every month. And that really helps me map out my content. So if you're an agent, you're sitting there thinking, all right, what kind of stuff am I going to post in May? You look at what holidays are coming up. You look at what the weather is going to be like in May. You look at what schools are, are schools being let out. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's the NBA playoffs. It's what else is coming up in May? I can't think of anything else. There's, Cinco de Mayo is
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. There we go.
Canada.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm assuming most people here are probably on your newsletter, but if they're not, you should sign up for it, because Eric at the beginning of every month and his newsletter sends out content ideas for agents. And I've used a few of them. They always seem to do really well. And you can kind of turn it into whatever you want, which is cool.
Yes, exactly. That's a trend jack. And then you trend jack your posting style too. So always be consuming content to get hyper aware of what sort of content is performing well. So now it's kind of these green screen style memes with this sort of text. So, the Will Ferrell meme, the Elon Musk meme, that's what's performing well for memes right now, is this CapCut style kind of see-through text. For whatever reason, me posting kind of the video clips with the text above is not performing nearly as well as these kind of full length highlighted text. So you could trend jack pop culture, you could trend jack the styles, the calendar, and then of course with green screens. The competition, it really does help to have an enemy. This is also one of the number one drivers of growth for the broke agent. Luca actually agents who used to be an enemy, was never really an enemy. He was always just don't take a picture of this and send this to him, Kristen. I see exactly what you're doing. Put that phone away and delete that photo immediately. Now, Luca knows all about this. When he signed on as a BAM creator, I wrote a blog post about what a driving force he was for me building this media company and really taking my game to the next level. And I saw him basically growing his account exponentially during the pandemic. And I said, I'm not going to let anybody else beat me in terms of being the most followed, engaged, real estate humor account. And I know it sounds petty and ridiculous, but it really did help drive me. And it kind of helped form the media company that exists today, because I wanted to build more. It wasn't just because of Actually Agents, of course. It was just kind of a driving force and kind of my motive to keep doing this. So for agents, is there another agent in your market that's posting more than you? Are they posting more content than you? Are they posting better content than you? If so, you need to step up your game, and it should anger you, right? Like when I see Inman News post content that gets more engagement, or I see The Real Deal collab with Ricky Carruth, that gave us the idea to collab with our creators on green screens and accounts, because The Real Deal was doing a great job at that. So not only do you get ideas from your competition, but it's really going to help drive and motivate you if you see someone else in your market that is crushing it, right? Like if you see someone that's posting content that's getting a lot of engagement, it should piss you off. Do you have any enemies, Kristen? Anyone that you look at? Just me, of course.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I figured. Yeah, like if I see the between appointments Instagram starts popping up, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to start posting 10 times more than the between appointments Instagram and crush it and make sure that they never surpass me in followers and engagement. Just kidding. All right. So the seventh one, audit your content. This is something you got to do for your digital brand probably once a quarter at the very least, but once a month probably is how often you want to do this. So audit your content almost on a daily basis. If you're looking at your Instagram insights, you do want to see, did this post get shared? Did this post get watched? Did this post get comments? Like if you just post and ghost, you don't actually look at what sort of content is working, you're not going to know what sort of content you should trash and what sort of content you should replicate. So every quarter down with our BAM team, and we do a full audit on our YouTube channel to see, is this converting? Are we just putting out a podcast that people are listening to for only 10 minutes and they're not listening to for 40 minutes? Is it resulting in BAMX subs? Is it resulting in YouTube subscriptions? Like, what are we actually doing here? Because if you're just producing content that isn't necessarily not directly resulting in sales, but you're just kind of throwing up stuff and nothing has changed in your business, then you do have to kind of change your content around. We've made a lot of shifts with our podcast. We've made a lot of shifts with where we position our podcasts on different YouTube channels to attract an audience that's more specific to that channel. So we don't have as much, convolution on one channel. We do this with our Instagram all the time. We got super clip heavy when we first launched BAM, where almost every single post was just a clip from a podcast. And I think people started to tune out and get sick of that. So we started to do more market insight posts, and we started to do kind of more BAM headline posts and news-based content. And we did all this because we audited our content. And right now, the number one thing that you should be looking at is retention. Retention is what pushes your content more in the algorithm than anything else, more than shares, likes, comments, or saves, is how often or how far into the video are people watching. And I think I have that stat down here somewhere. Should say average watch time somewhere.
Very bottom.
Okay. Yeah. Very bottom, average watch time. So you want to look at your video. If your video is 40 seconds and the average watch time was 5 seconds or 10 seconds, what happened in that video that made people tune out quickly, right? Was there not enough hookage in there? Was there not enough text? Was your audio too loud where it overcame what you were actually saying? Were there not enough shifts in the background setting? Like you need to look at this and see, all right, why did people tune out here? And what adjustments can I possibly make to make sure that people don't tune out on the next video and get that retention up? Because once you see the retention go from 20% to 30% to 60 to 70 to 80%, and then people start looping and rewatching your reels, that's a formula that you're going to replicate. So these are newer insights, and sometimes it takes a while for these insights to populate on your specific Instagram account. But I would always look at your watch time and your average watch time, obviously your shares and your saves, and see how many people you're reaching outside of your followers, because those are going to be the ones that are your new followers. All right, number 8 is diversify your platforms and being omnipresent. Putting all your eggs in one social media basket can be a disaster. This is something that we've been talking nonstop about on BAM, is if you only grow an Instagram account, you could really be screwing yourself, because obviously the Instagram algorithm changes seemingly on a daily basis. You could get your account hacked. You could get, some crypto scammer to take over. You could lose your password. Like there's a million circumstances where real estate agents have lost their account recently. And when that happens, do you have the sort of digital platform and do you have the following on other accounts to where it's not going to destroy your business? One of the smartest things we did at the Broke Agent is build Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and email simultaneously, because we know that these things are constantly shifting. We know that each app right now is in a massive power grab to become the super app, right? Like TikTok is just launching their Instagram feed, basically. TikTok is doing photos now. Instagram is becoming TikTok. YouTube is kind of becoming everything, a blog in itself with their community posts and their short form content. And if you're just in one platform and for whatever reason your audience starts to tune out, or you do get hacked, or that platform gets bought, or it becomes Vine where it just disappears out of nowhere, you're really just screwing yourself. So the most important thing you could do is build that email list, because that email list obviously is something that people can't take away from you. And it's something that gets delivered every single time. There's no algorithm that isn't pushing it into the feed. You send it at 3 o'clock, it is getting delivered at 3 o'clock. Obviously, your open rate and click-through rate will change based off of your titles and how people have been consuming your email. But you know that that's going to get delivered. So I listed these three as our most important ones for a media company. And I think it's kind of similar for real estate agents, but correct me if I'm wrong, or what you guys think are the most three important platforms. But I think your email list is probably your most important. I think YouTube, because long form garners the most trust and converts the highest. You ask any YouTuber real estate agent, and it's like they're on a different level in terms of how their social media is converting. Like you talk to the Ken Pozeks of the world, and the amount of just replays that they're getting on their videos, and the amount of just long form content that people have consumed. They're so ready to purchase with you because they've watched so much content than they are on an Instagram. And those call to actions are so much more powerful on YouTube. And then Instagram, I still really like, because I think it's by far the most diverse platform. Their messaging feature is superior to anything else. So in terms of directly contacting your database with DMs and responding to client questions in DMs, I think Instagram is still the best like short form app. So how do you get these emails? For us, you've seen webinars, you've seen ebooks and lead magnets and guides and everything, exchanging something of value for their email. So for agents, this is going to be your buyer guides, your seller guides, condo living, first time investors, best brunch spots, basically any sort of blog post that you could turn into a PDF, that you could add some photos to it and put it behind a landing page where people have to insert their email. It's a great way to grow your email address, and it's a great way to segment your email address, because if you do a millennials guide to first-time home buyers and you plug that in your Instagram story, the people that engage with that are most likely millennial home buyers. Now you have that in your list. Like, I know exactly who that person is. I could send specific content to them. All right, number 9 is community. So building an actual community around your brand, which you guys have done a great job with this mastermind. How do you basically digitize and personalize a community where they're off these platforms, right? It's client events, it's masterminds, it's a private Facebook group for your clients, it's community presentations, and it's a client VIP list. For us, it's BAMX, it's the Refer Network, it's the Actually Agents Discord, these in-person masterminds. And this has been kind of a difficult thing for us to build around BAM. They really started during our events, is building a community, because you finally start meeting people in person. But I always kind of felt almost alone in the industry, in the sense that I was just publishing an enormous amount of content, but I hadn't built a community yet. And that was another thing that I took away from Luca, is Luca built such an amazing community with his Actually Agents Discord kind of very early in his brand, I think maybe 2019 or 2020. And when you could have people communicating in your community, and you're the principal, you're the reason why these people are communicating, that makes your content and your brand so much powerful. It's like, oh, how did I meet this person? I met him at a Rich event, Rich through a client event. Or how did I meet this people? I met him at the Between Appointments mastermind. Like, Kristen, was the principal of that meeting. And that's just what separates your brand from someone who's just publishing a lot of content and doesn't have their followers or their clients necessarily communicating with each other. And then number 10 is getting out of your comfort zone. This is cliche and, kind of almost cringe to just say, because everyone says that this is such an important thing to build a brand on, but I truly believe it because I hated doing stuff like this. I hated doing masterminds. I hated being on camera. I had no interest in doing a podcast. Speaking gigs were the worst thing of my life anytime I did them because I felt like I had nothing to say. People would just ask me kind of what the broke agent was for the first 5 or 6 years until I kind of developed, marketing chops. But it's really helped me build this media company because I knew, all right, if I'm going to build something where there's podcasts and that we're going to have events on, I have to start to get good at this sort of thing. And it takes a lot of reps, but eventually it starts to get way better. So if you think you suck on camera right now, I mean, look at this thing in the bottom right. This is me and my stuffed animal and the guy that I started the broke agent with. His name was Wes Pinkston. We literally filmed that on a Go. I know, it barely looks like me. We literally filmed that on a GoPro camera in 2015. It was called Closing Time with the Broke Agent. And we would list stupid shit like the best 5 apps for realtors. And then we did skit videos and rap videos. And we've had a ton of different podcasts. I had a podcast called Caravan Confessions in 2017 where people would come on and tell a crazy story, but I sucked as a podcast host. I was so bad. I had no idea what sort of questions to ask. I was extremely uncomfortable. I didn't like editing it or coming up with the thumbnails or everything afterwards. And then like even the Overasked podcast started with just Matt Lee and Eddie as the host, right? That was kind of like the first arm of the media company was the Overasked podcast. And I just wanted to be behind the scenes and kind of help them with questions and the editing and kind of the publishing of everything. But then I finally got more comfortable doing the podcast with him. I started doing the Broke News Network and just basically put myself in situations where I knew I was going to be very uncomfortable, but I knew the more I did it, the less uncomfortable I'd be at. And I think it was a very important aspect of the brand. So that's it. That's the 10 pillars of digital branding. I hope you guys got some value out of that. And let me know if you guys have any questions on any of these.
Yeah, awesome. There was a couple questions in the chat. Hang
Yeah.
on. Rebecca, I'm newer to my market. How should I set up my broadcast channel knowing that I don't have many local followers? Most of my followers are from my previous market or are agents.
Well, you could just still set up the broadcast channel. Do you mean like how do you actually physically do it, or if you should do it if you don't have that many followers in your market?
Rebecca, unmute and join us.
Hey everyone. More so, I know how to set it up, but more so if I don't really have a ton of people locally, would I sponsor one of my highest performing reels and just say, hey, follow my broadcast channel? And
I'd post it to your story a bunch because that's where people could join directly. You can also put it in your feed posts. I feel like people don't take that much action on your feed posts, but Luca does a great job in his story saying, join my broadcast channel for more marketing tips and event updates. So post it in your story because people are more likely to post or communicate with your content in your story and actually take action and join.
And are people who aren't following me now, because the whole thing would be to gain people who aren't following me now so people can see my stories if they're not following me?
They can see your stories if they're not following you, yeah, but they most likely won't. Like
Okay.
if they go to your profile, they can click on your story and view it. But yeah, if you want to reach people outside of your audience, it's Instagram Reels is still the #1 way to do that.
And Rebecca, I found like hashtagging like neighborhoods and restaurants and other things are putting my stories in front of other people that are looking at those hashtags. So I wind up getting some more local followers doing that anyways. So maybe try doing that a little more.
Yeah, story content's not really going to necessarily reach people outside of your audience. It's more for building the community on Instagram itself and reaching your own followers and making sure that you have those DM communications. That's kind of what stories are for. I've been posting way less stories recently, kind of 2 or 3 a day, because the more stories that you post, each story gets less and less views. So if they see that there's 3 or 4 stories in one, they're less likely to communicate with that first story because they're like, oh, there's a second one, there's a third story. So I'm not going to click on this link or I'm not going to respond to this because I just, the dopamine in your head or whatever it is, you just want to keep seeing what's next. So if you have something really important to plug, like a lead magnet or a client event or a new listing, you kind of want that to be your only story for that 24-hour period.
Okay. And then, some people have their broadcast channels as like how to succeed on Instagram. Like Dan, I think of his is music related. Would you just have it be total local content, like local happenings for someone in my situation? I'm 2 years into my market.
Yeah, I think hyper local content is the move for a broadcast channel, unless you're building a brand for other real estate agents, or you're trying to get clients to follow you on social media because you have a course or there's some other thing that you're selling them. Then it should be marketing tips and stuff. But if you're not doing marketing tips, you're trying to actually sell houses, then it's definitely stuff that you want for your clients.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, but I really think the audio once a week talking about your market is something people would listen to. All you have to do is pull up your broadcast channel, you hit record for 45 seconds, 2 minutes. You talk about stuff that's going on in your market. Maybe you're talking about a new listing, a new coffee shop that opens up. Like that sort of content's really simple to use and it's not that invasive. And then people start to get familiar with their voice and start to trust you a little bit more on a deeper level than they would just kind of consuming your feed content.
And hopefully people would share it, share that out or tell their
Yeah.
friends watch.
Yeah, the broadcast channel is great just because so many people open their DMs. Anytime I really want to plug something or get downloads to an ebook or something, it goes straight in the broadcast channel.
I don't know about you, but sometimes like I can't, the notification won't go away even after I've like liked the message from like your someone else's channel. Funny. But I really laughed. I laughed out loud when I heard you sing. Kudos to you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Vanessa Melody.
That was Get Busy by Sean Paul, the mid 2000s hit.
Taking it back.
So good.
Eric, I wanted you to touch on ManyChat because I know you mentioned in terms of like lead capture and offering ebooks to capture emails. I don't know if everyone knows about ManyChat, but have you seen any negatives to it, or it's just the best tool?
Definitely.
Yeah,
I've seen some negatives to it because we overuse the shit out of it, honestly. Like anything, if you're doing a specific call to action and it's too much, people just start to tune it out. It's kind of diminishing return. So if you're an agent, you don't want to be using a ManyChat every single post or every other post. Like I see some agents do it where it's like, comment the word this to watch this video. If you do that on every single post, people are just going to stop commenting it. Like ManyChat should invoke a feeling of FOMO of, oh, I really need to comment this and get some big piece of information here. So don't necessarily do it to a YouTube video or something simple like that. Like you want to do it to a lead magnet. You want to do it to a client event or to a giveaway or some sort of contest. Like those are the best ways to use ManyChat.
Do you have any insight? Because Katie Day is the only person that I know that's actually done this, but she actually like used a ManyChat and paid for an ad to actually capture buyers by offering a buyer guide out, because that's a way to actually use it and hit like a random audience as opposed to like just your followers.
Yeah. We're doing that right now in a couple of ads. Cassidy, I think you had one recently where you did that, right?
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, we do it for buyers guides and sellers guides just around San Diego.
Are you getting a good return from it?
It's fine. You get people sign up and leave their information, but then it's just like any online lead. You just have to follow up with them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Katie ran it to her entire database. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. So it's like Houston deals of the week. And I'm like, I'm in San Diego, Katie. This doesn't do me any good. But she needs to work on her audience selection a little bit more, I think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we use it all the time. We use it for our lead magnets. We do use it for podcasts that I think are really good that I want, like, the Ryan Serhant podcast. We said comment the word Ryan on a couple of those reels because I really wanted to draw attention to that. But I've definitely noticed it's just like any sort of thing in marketing. If you do something too consistently, people just get exhausted by it and your ManyChat engagement will go down a lot. Like I was plugging the BAM Fest event with a ManyChat almost on a daily basis. And I kept testing out the language that I was using to see what would get the most amount of DMs. And if I said, hey, come attend this huge virtual music festival, no one gave a shit because they're like, I don't know what this is. But if I said, hey, come watch Jordan Cohen, the #1 Remax agent in the world, talk about how to crush his listing presentation, DM me the word yes, and I'll send you the invite, that actually got a lot more messages. So if you're using a ManyChat, just like how you audit your content, you want to switch up your caption very quickly if it's not getting responses, or switch up your Instagram story if it's not getting responses, because it's that early engagement in that first kind of 20-30 minute window that's going to determine the result of that post. So don't be afraid to pull something down, switch up the caption, or pull an Instagram story down and switch up that language to see what, is this word effective? Should I say DM me the word yes? Should I say DM me the word Toronto? Is that too many letters? Are people misspelling it wrong? Like, you start to really figure out what your audience is receptive to.
And another hint for anybody that does start using ManyChat, I found I get more responses from people when I make my ManyChat response to them, just text. Don't use the actual ManyChat templates that make whatever you're trying to link them to show up as a button. It looks more robotic and less people actually click through on anything.
Kristen, I tried that because you said that to me, and we had opposite results. We got way
Really?
more. Yeah, we got way more, maybe because we're a media company. So
Maybe.
I think people are more familiar with that ManyChat style, but we switched it. So we were just sending out the StreamYard link, and our conversions dropped by like 20%. So I'm actually mad at you because now
Ah.
you single-handedly decreased the amount of people that attended BAMFest because of that faulty tip right there.
Well, when I use that
No.
button, nobody ever clicks it for me. But when I just put the link, I feel like at least 25% of people actually click it.
Yeah.
Wes in the chat said, do you need a paid membership for the automations to work on ManyChat? I set one up yesterday and it says it's live, but it doesn't seem to auto reply my response.
I believe you do. I don't know. We paid as a company through ManyChat, but I know we're paying for it.
Wes,
As far as I know.
So
set it
so
up
the
in
answer is
past.
yes.
But one tip too, if you're trying to use the free one, it'll only let you get up to 500 contacts and then it'll shut you down. So you have to go in and make sure you're exporting your contact list out of ManyChat and deleting everybody so you can start again. Because once you get to 500, everything stops working.
Yeah, I mean, ManyChat has been incredible for us because anytime you plug a link in your Instagram story, that's obviously signaling to Instagram that you're taking people off app, and it completely destroys your engagement on that Instagram story for 24 hours, and people are less likely to interact with your account. So ManyChat, the more DMs you get, the more communication you have in the direct messages. And also you could set up, delayed response ManyChats too. So if you say, DM me the word buyer for this buyer guide, you could have a delayed fuse of 12 hours later where after they've already DM'd you the word buyer for buyer's guide, you send them another good piece of information. So it's almost like setting up a little mini email drip campaign in your direct messages. It's great for Facebook too, like just doing text-based posts on Facebook. Kind of like it's a Facebook status and saying comment the word buyer, comment the word seller. Facebook comments have been popping off for us, getting a lot of contacts through Facebook.
Nice.
Miriam, if you want to unmute and join us.
Sure. Hi. So my realtor Instagram, because I do have a personal one, it has 300 to 400 people following me, but I started a realtor one, and that one is stuck at barely like 99 followers right now. So I started doing like restaurant reviews, just informational videos and things like that, but it's like not really growing too much. What are two things I can do right now to like get that number up? And I'll do them.
Collab with your personal one. If you have more followers on your personal one, start collabing on that, or at least do Instagram story shout outs from your personal one to follow your realtor one. I think that'll get you some quick followers. I would eventually just combine the two accounts because
Okay.
people want to see your personality and hobbies anyway. So maybe you kind of slowly start transitioning by collabing. Are you posting a lot of reels? Because reels, again, are the best way to reach an audience outside. If you look at your reel insights, that's what always reaches the audience of non-followers.
So I do maybe one a week. And so I think that's probably the problem right there. My personal one is mostly family and friends. Like I live in Maryland, moved here from Texas. Everyone is from Texas in that account. So, I guess they could start following me, but I don't think it would translate to anything. That's why I was trying to reach out of my circle. So I'm guessing just do more reels, right?
I mean, yeah, the more you do post, the more followers you will get. There's always a direct correlation between the amount of content I put out and the amount of followers I gain that week. If you're doing those restaurant reviews or those business reviews, try to collab with those businesses. So DM with the business before you do the post and say, hey, I just made this review. If it's a good review, obviously, if you're shitting on the restaurant, they probably won't want to collab with it, but you should DM with them and try to like contact their social media person so that they're prepared to accept that collab. And then hopefully you could section off some of their followers.
And then probably, as bad as it sounds, I guess pick restaurants that actually have a social media presence, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
okay, cool.
Pick
Awesome.
restaurants that are, you know, somewhat savvy on social media and have a similar or larger following than yourself. And then hopefully you can pick up some of those followers.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to add, those are all really great suggestions. For me, the interaction and the going in daily that he mentioned, I believe it was 0.5, makes a big difference. I recently got sick and had to stop posting because I had to fully scale back for my clients, and still going in every day and engaging and sharing and feeding that algorithm still resulted in growth despite having to slow down from 3-4 days a week of consistent posting. So don't underestimate feeding that algorithm and going into local spots, because that made a big difference in my growth.
Yeah, I
Even
used
if
to say,
I had to pull back.
if there's like local news accounts or business accounts that have large social followings, you could turn on your post notifications for those
Mhm.
accounts and then
Yeah.
comment right away so that you have a more, you know, higher likelihood of getting pinned or getting a lot of likes on your comment, which is going to get your account more exposure. So I used to do this with Inman News at the time, with Gary Vaynerchuk, with Ryan Serhant. I had all their post notifications on, and I'd have some posts on other meme accounts where I would pick up 400, 500 followers just because of my comment alone. And then they would see my account and then, you know, go follow it. But yeah, that sort of engagement strategy was really effective if you don't have anything to post that week. Also, if you don't have anything to post, dipping into your old content has always been extremely effective for me. Obviously, I'm recycling memes from 5 years ago. Recycling a market update video from 2017 is not a smart move. But if you have a sort of post that did really well, you could always just change the hook, change the caption, turn that reel. Or maybe you said something that was intriguing. You could turn that sort of post into an actual feed post and just go from reel to text. You could go from text to reel. Like, I'm always recycling similar captions and concepts, but just changing the actual format of that post. So dip into your old content, see what performed well, and whatever performed well, touch upon that concept again, because it'll most likely can perform well in the future. And also, most likely people haven't seen that content before, because only 10% of your people actually see stuff.
Do you layer some of your old content with trendjacking too? I saw the video overlays. And what app do you use to get all of those graphics that you overlay?
I use CapCut
Okay.
for when I was talking about the trendjacking style. I use CapCut for that. I use the Repost app to rip. I think you can just download videos now, but I use the Repost app to rip content. So if I see like a funny video, I click the link, I share it to the Repost app, I remove the watermark, and then I overlay the text just in Instagram Reels. And then you could also use InstaSize as a really good app if you want to format stuff to where it's the full header feed, or you want to format it for an Instagram story or for an Instagram Reel. InstaSize is really good. Momus is a really simple meme creation and headline app. MOMUS. The Meme app, MEMATIC, Pneumatic, is a really good app. And then let's see what else here. Yeah, those are the ones I use mostly to format the content, but CapCut's been one of the best ones that I use. Yeah.
Wayne had a really good idea for me last week that he sent over, Highway to Sell. And I remade something that he sent me, and it was just like a London, Ontario challenge. Check off the boxes of all the things that you've done. And it wound up going out to a ton of people that I don't know and I'm not connected to at all that ended up following me. I think Wayne, I don't know if he ended up doing one, but I saw a few other agents that follow me start to do the same thing. And it was a cool way to like get your face and your name in front of other local people.
Yeah, Instagram story templates.
Yeah.
Yeah, Instagram story templates are a great way to get discovered, especially by other realtors if you're looking to grow your network that way.
And then Gary V's $80 rule. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. Anybody that was on the mastermind last week, it was a good way to find more local followers. So Miriam, that would be good for you. I'll send you a link to what that is. But it's a way to just go through hashtags and locations and other local accounts and go through and comment on their stuff, find people that are following them, comment on their stuff, and it gets you in front of other local people. Awesome. Did anybody else have any other questions?
Hey, Eric, you kind of brushed over it a little bit, but you're talking about like carousels, the engagement is up, but are you finding that it's engagement just among people who follow you already? Because kind of, I don't have as big of an account as you, so you'll see it a lot more in your numbers. But I find that carousels and static posts seem to just hit my followers, and only like a very small percentage will go out to non-followers, but reels will go out to a lot more non-followers.
Absolutely. Basically, I'll do a carousel post that it's like 90% my followers, but I'll do that just to kind of reset the algorithm almost, because if you're posting, you can almost like look at Instagram that day and see what sort of content's performing well. Like you could go on the BAM account and say, oh, this reel performed really bad. Maybe it's not a reels day. I know that sounds ridiculous, but that is a thing in the Instagram algorithm where you can sometimes see like reels are just getting crushed across the board. So I'm going to just throw up feed posts in there, but you're 100% right. To reach non-followers, it's 90% reels. And everybody could go into their professional dashboard. You go to view insights. You go to total followers. And then you can find out what sort of content is, or accounts reached. Sorry, yeah, you go to accounts reached. And you can see mine, I reached 3.2 million accounts from reels. From posts, I reached 679,000, but it's all non-followers from reels. I don't know if you guys could see that, but that huge bar right there is all from reels. The posts reached, it looks like only 20% non-followers. So yes, the answer is reels if you want to reach everybody else. Yeah, a little flex right there, Jason. Exactly.
No, but Eric, I think it's a good point. Like there's like you need to reset the algorithm, because after a while you won't even be your content won't even be shown to your followers as much as it was before. So like the carousel just helps to rejog that, so you're actually like reaching them again. I think it's a good tool for that. You already have that audience built in there. They're just not seeing your stuff all the time.
Yeah, and again, it's just the audience exhaustion too. If you're a realtor and you do that bulk recording method that I talked about, and people see you in the same setting and they see the sort of story you're telling, it's like, well, I've already seen this content a million times before. I'm probably just going to scroll right by. But then if they hit you with a feed post and maybe it's a quote of something you've said, or it's just like a different format, then you're more likely to stick around that post because it's just something new. That's why the variety is so important.
Eric, I have a question for you, just advice-wise for anybody watching this. Do you, because I know some people like will view your account, or people who do comedy and they're like, well, I can't do comedy. So like that's, and they feel kind of stuck in terms of what their angle is going to be. Do you have any advice for anybody who is trying to identify maybe a gap out there that they can, pivot their way into, but they just don't know what that is?
I don't really have a specific answer. I think it's really testing to see what sort of content you enjoy making the most. I saw this really good clip of Gary Vee saying this: whatever helps you make frictionless content that you enjoy. So if you hate sitting there and you hate having a ring light there and a cameraman and you hate regurgitating hooks and that just makes you uncomfortable, that's going to come across screen. So it's all about figuring out a setting. Are you golfing? Is it through podcast? Is it through conversation? Is it green screens? Because with the green screen, you could actually kind of read the article and there's a little bit less pressure on the way you're producing that content. I think that's kind of how you discover what you enjoy doing the most. And then that will translate the most on screen. Like if you aren't funny or you don't want to produce comedy content, you shouldn't do that just because you see that that's working for other people. I think everyone kind of knows that at this point. I think it's really just getting rid of that friction. Like I like doing green screen content because I like how it edits. I like the fact that I don't have a cameraman. I'm not using a mic. I like that I could kind of read the article or read the talking points just through the phone right there. I like that I could change settings. Like that content works for me. That's what I enjoy producing.
It's easy. It's
Does
easy
that
for
make
you.
sense? Yeah, it's easy for me. And like, the podcast, like conversational stuff, I really like doing. I like doing that a lot more than talking head style stuff. Like I do these Marketing Monday videos, but that's me reading a script. That's me standing there with the producer. I don't like making those videos. There's a reason kind of why I stopped doing those. I like having the conversations on the walkthrough and changing that kind of into the marketing tips itself as the marketing podcast, as opposed to me sitting there doing 4 or 5 minute videos myself. And then we get the same amount of clips from the walkthrough podcast that I would normally get from doing a Marketing Monday video where I'm sitting there with like a highly edited producer.
Love it.
Cool. Well,
Anybody have
unless
anything else?
anybody wants to jump in, I think we should let Eric get back to his morning.
Sweet. Thank you, everybody. I do have a discount for everybody here if you guys are interested in joining BAMX. If you want me to share that real quick.
That would be amazing if you want to drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I think I have it right there. Yeah, B2A. Should have just said between appointments, but we chose B2A. So there's 25% off if you want to scan that. That's our BAMX community. If you're wondering what to post, now we have 3 social templates in there every single Friday. We have 2 video scripts, and then we have an email that you can craft and customize for your database, plus our bi-weekly mastermind, and we got courses and trainings. So check out our BAMX community. We have a private Facebook group in there too. Kristen, you're in there. You like BAMX?
Yeah, I love it. I've been in it since you guys started it, and it's been super helpful. I've learned
Great.
so many things, like
Same.
a bunch of ManyChat courses, there's video editing courses, there's CapCut courses. There's pretty much a
Yeah.
course on anything you could possibly
think
need as a builder.
Ryan Foreman puts the ManyChat actually in like the actual how to use ManyChat from BAMX in the chat. If anybody wants to click on it, it's very valuable. It's a really good value for what you guys are giving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in real fast. Foreman talking.
Yep.
I don't have my camera on, but I want to say, you go on BAMX, you search any damn word, ManyChat, lead magnet, content. I don't even know. I don't know how they do all these damn fucking courses, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Excuse my language, but no, it's great in there. And they have bi-weekly masterminds and a ton of stuff. So shout out, Eric.
Get into BAMX, hit that QR code. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully you guys got some value from this. I appreciate it. Kristen, thank you for reaching out to me. Andrew, always a
Appreciate you.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
And Cassidy, I'll talk to you later today about who's going to win the Lakers game. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Peace.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining.